The unexpected encounter. Samira Hassan adjusted the soft drape of her emerald silk dupatta as she surveyed the wedding hall. Her brother Imran's Bharat celebration was in full swing, and as the event planner responsible for this family milestone, she couldn't help feeling a surge of pride. The transformed garden venue sparkled with hundreds of fairy lights nestled among jasmine garlands, exactly as she had envisioned. "You've outdone yourself," a voice said behind her. Samira turned to find an unfamiliar face. A tall man with kind eyes and a subtle smile that suggested he wasn't entirely comfortable in the festive crowd. "Thank you, but I don't believe we've met," she replied, extending her hand professionally. "Samira Hassan, sister of the groom, and unfortunately, the one responsible for all this chaos." "Farhan," he said, his handshake warm and firm. "Distant cousin of the bride. And this isn't chaos. It's the most elegant wedding I've seen in years." Something in his genuine appreciation made her pause. After years of clients who treated her work as merely transactional, his recognition felt refreshing. "Would you like to see what most guests don't?" she offered impulsively, surprising herself. Minutes later, they stood on the small balcony overlooking the garden, where Samira had orchestrated everything from hidden speakers to the precise angle of lighting that made everyone look their best. "This is your command center," Farhan observed, leaning against the railing. "You see everything from here?" "I suppose I do," she smiled. 7 years building Kayal events from nothing, and I've learned that details matter most when nobody notices them." As the night deepened, they found themselves talking about everything, from her struggle to be taken seriously as a young female entrepreneur in Multan to his years abroad and recent return to Pakistan. Unlike the polite small talk filling the hall below, their conversation flowed with an unexpected ease. "Why events?" he asked, genuinely curious. Samira considered this. "I create moments that people remember forever. When everything falls away, money, status, even health, memories remain. I build those." The music shifted to a slower rhythm, and without discussion, they began swaying together on the secluded balcony. "And what brings you back to Pakistan?" she asked, conscious of his gentle hand at her waist. "Family. Opportunity. The feeling that it was time," he answered, his eyes reflecting the string lights. "Though I didn't expect to find—" He trailed off. "Find what?" Samira asked softly. "This," he said simply. When the wedding ended near dawn, they stood by her car, reluctant to part. The night had created a bubble around them, intimate and separate from reality. "I have a major presentation tomorrow," Samira sighed. "Or today, actually. I'm pitching for funding to expand Kayal events beyond Punjab." "You should get some rest then," Farhan said, "though I'm not sorry we talked instead." "Neither am I." Their goodbye was a gentle touch of his lips to her cheek, lingering just long enough to suggest possibility. "I hope our paths cross again," he said. "In a city this size, they just might," she replied with a smile, not knowing how prophetic her words would prove to be. Driving home in the soft light of dawn, Samira felt strangely light. The connection had been unexpected, perhaps even foolish on the eve of such an important day. Yet she couldn't bring herself to regret a single moment of their stolen hours together. Little did she know that their paths would cross again much sooner than either expected. Boardroom surprise. The sleek glass headquarters of Taurus Investments loomed over Samira as she checked her presentation one last time. After 5 years of growing Kayal events from a small home office to the premier event planning service in southern Punjab, this meeting could catapult her business to the national stage. The investment would allow her to open offices in Islamabad and Karachi, transforming her local success into a countrywide brand. "You've got this," whispered Haina, her assistant and cousin, straightening Samira's tailored navy blazer. "Nobody knows events like you do." Samira nodded, grateful for the support, but already focused on the pitch waiting behind those mahogany doors. She had prepared for weeks, analyzing market gaps, growth projections, and competitive advantages. What she hadn't prepared for was the man sitting at the head of the boardroom table. "Ms. Hassan, welcome to Taurus Investments," The elderly chairman, Mr. Qureshi, began. "Allow me to introduce our newest partner who will be overseeing our hospitality and events portfolio, Mr. Farhan Siddiqui." The world seemed to slow as Samira locked eyes with the same man who had held her close under the wedding lights just hours earlier. Farhan's expression shifted almost imperceptibly, surprise quickly masked by professional courtesy. "Ms. Hassan and I are actually acquainted," Farhan stated smoothly, extending his hand across the table. "Though I had no idea she was the founder of Khayal Events." "Wonderful." Mr. Qureshi beamed. "Then you already know the passion behind the business." Samira forced a professional smile, mentally recalibrating everything. The intimate conversation partner from last night was now the gatekeeper to her dreams. Every word they'd shared took on new meaning. Throughout her presentation, Samira maintained perfect composure, but she noticed Farhan's questions were pointed, almost challenging. He pressed her on scalability issues and asked about contingency plans for the wedding industry's seasonal fluctuations, topics they'd discussed casually. "Just hours ago." "Your concept is impressive," he said, tapping his pen thoughtfully after she concluded. "But expanding into metropolitan markets will mean competing with established international event companies. What makes Khayal Events different?" The question hung in the air, and Samira felt the weight of everything at stake. Was he testing her? Punishing her for the personal connection they'd shared? Or simply doing his job? "What makes us different," she answered, meeting his gaze directly, "is that we don't just execute events. We understand the cultural nuances that make celebrations meaningful in Pakistan. International companies import concepts. We elevate what's already in our hearts." After the presentation, while others filed out, Farhan approached her. "I didn't know," he said quietly, almost apologetically. "Neither did I," Samira replied, gathering her materials. "But now we both do, and clearly this needs to remain strictly professional." "Of course." His tone was measured, businesslike. "The committee will make its decision within the week." "Your presentation was very thorough." "Thank you, Mr. Siddiqui," she emphasized his surname deliberately. "I look forward to hearing the committee's thoughts." As she turned to leave, he added, "For what it's worth, I meant what I said last night about your work." The wedding was extraordinary. 3 days later, Samira received the call. Taurus Investments would fund her expansion, but with conditions. Farhan Siddiqui would serve as the company's direct liaison and mentor, requiring weekly meetings and progress reports. They would be working closely together for at least a year. That evening, alone in her office overlooking Multan's old city, Samira stared at the contract. The funding was everything she needed, but the arrangement meant constantly navigating the dangerous territory between their undeniable personal connection and their new professional relationship. She had built Khayal Events on her own terms, answering to no one. Now she would have Farhan looking over her shoulder at every turn. Her phone chimed with a message from an unknown number. "Congratulations on the investment. I promise to keep our working relationship transparent and respectful." Farhan Samira placed her phone down without responding. Tomorrow would begin a new chapter for her business, one complicated by feelings she couldn't afford, and a partnership she hadn't expected. As she signed the contract, she wondered which would prove more challenging, building her business empire or keeping her heart safely locked away. Competitive forces. The grand opening of Khayal Events' Islamabad office glittered with promise. 6 weeks after securing Taurus funding, Samira had transformed a colonial-era building into a showroom of possibilities, each room designed to showcase different event themes. Local celebrities, society figures, and potential clients mingled beneath crystal chandeliers as staff circulated with signature mocktails. "Impressive turnaround time," Farhan commented, appearing beside her with 2 glasses of pomegranate juice. "Most businesses would take months to achieve this." Samira accepted the drink, maintaining professional distance despite the warmth in his eyes. "I've learned to make the impossible happen on deadline. It's what clients pay for." Their weekly meetings had evolved from stilted formality to grudging respect. Farhan brought financial insights that strengthened her business model, while Samira consistently exceeded the growth projections they'd established. If only she could ignore how her pulse quickened when he rolled up his sleeves during late strategy sessions, or how he remembered every detail she mentioned about her family. Samira Hassan. Still the neighborhood party planner, I see. She turned to find Daniel Malik smirking at her, his tailored Italian suit screaming old money. As owner of Prestige Events, her main competitor, he'd made it clear years ago that he considered her business beneath his notice, until she began winning clients from his roster. Danielle. I didn't realize you were invited, she replied coolly. I make it my business to keep tabs on smaller operations, he said, eyes flicking dismissively around the room before landing on Farhan, especially when they suddenly receive mysterious funding. Farhan Siddiqui, isn't it? We met at the Economic Forum last month. Mr. Malik? Farhan acknowledged with a diplomatic nod. I'm curious, Daniel continued, swirling his drink. What does Taurus see in Kayal that justifies investment? Quaint local weddings hardly seem scalable. Before Samira could respond, Farhan stepped subtly forward. We see exceptional return potential and management talent. Our analysts project Kayal will capture 30% of the premium event market within 18 months. Ambitious. Daniel's smile tightened. Though you might reconsider after reviewing their client retention data. I hear the Hussein wedding was problematic, Samira stiffened. The Hussein wedding had faced last-minute vendor issues that her team had scrambled to resolve. The clients had been satisfied with the solution, but the fact that Daniel knew about internal problems suggested he had contacts among her suppliers. Perhaps you should focus on your own retention issues, she countered smoothly. I believe the National Bank Gala recently switched to a different planner after 20 years with Prestige. Daniel's face darkened. Enjoy your moment, Samira. This market has a way of correcting overreaching. With a curt nod, he departed. He seems pleasant, Farhan remarked dryly. He's threatened, Samira sighed. His father built Prestige on connections to old political families. Daniel inherited clients rather than earning them. Later that evening, as staff cleared the last glasses, Farhan found Samira in her office reviewing the event's success metrics. You should be celebrating, he said, leaning against the doorframe. Tonight positioned Kayal perfectly in this market. Daniel knew details he shouldn't have, she replied, troubled. Someone's feeding him information. Farhan closed the door and took a seat across from her. I've been meaning to discuss something. Our market research shows unusual patterns in your supply chain disruptions. They're too consistent to be coincidental. You think Daniel is sabotaging my business? I think someone is, and he has motive. Farhan hesitated. There's something else. The board is concerned about expansion speed given these incidents. They're considering revising our timeline. Samira felt the ground shift beneath her. That would compromise everything we've planned. The Karachi launch depends on momentum from Islamabad. I know. His expression softened. That's why I wanted to suggest working more closely together. If we combine my corporate security resources with your operational knowledge, you're proposing we investigate Daniel together? The idea of more time with Farhan both thrilled and terrified her. I'm proposing we protect our mutual investment, he clarified, though his eyes suggested more complex motivations, starting with the governor's charity gala next week. Prestige Events has handled it for years, but now it's yours. It's too important to risk any surprises. As Farhan outlined his proposal, Samira realized they were crossing another boundary. No longer merely investor and entrepreneur, they would now be allies against a common threat, working late nights, sharing confidences, trusting each other with vulnerabilities. All right, she agreed finally. But we maintain professional boundaries. This partnership is too important to complicate. Farhan nodded, but the slight curve of his lips suggested he knew, as she did, that those boundaries had begun blurring long ago. Breaking point. Rain pounded against the windows of Kayal's emergency command center, a hotel suite hastily converted into an operations hub. What should have been Samira's crowning achievement, the governor's annual charity gala, was rapidly becoming her most spectacular failure. 3 hours before 500 of Pakistan's most influential people were due to arrive. The historic garden venue had flooded, the imported flowers were detained at customs, and the head chef had been hospitalized with food poisoning. Samira's team scrambled to execute her rapidly evolving contingency plan, relocating to the Grand Palace Hotel's ballroom. "The stage backdrop is damaged beyond repair," Hina reported, hair frizzed from the rain. "And the sound system we ordered is stuck in traffic." Farhan, who had been helping coordinate logistics, hung up his phone. "The governor's office is getting nervous." His secretary called for the third time. For 8 weeks, they had worked side by side, gradually dismantling the sabotage campaign against Kayal. They'd identified and replaced disloyal vendors, strengthened security protocols, and even gathered evidence of Daniel's interference. The partnership had brought them closer than either would admit, professional boundaries blurring during late-night strategy sessions and early morning crisis calls. Tonight was supposed to be their triumph, proof that Kayal Events could handle the country's most prestigious gatherings. Instead, it was unraveling spectacularly. "I need 15 minutes, Samira announced suddenly, heading for the door. "Where are you going?" Farhan called after her. "We have decisions to make." "Make them," she responded without turning back. "That's why you're here, isn't it?" "To oversee your investment." The words came out sharper than intended, but Samira couldn't take them back. The stress of the expansion, Daniel's sabotage, and her increasingly complicated feelings for Farhan had created a perfect storm of emotion. On the hotel's rooftop, partially sheltered from the rain, Samira finally allowed herself a moment of doubt. Was she overreaching? Had her ambition blinded her to her limitations? Perhaps Daniel was right. Perhaps she was still just a local wedding planner playing at something bigger. "You picked a scenic spot for your crisis." Farhan's voice came from behind her. She didn't turn around. "I needed air." "You needed space from me," he corrected, moving beside her. "I saw your face when I mentioned the governor's call. You thought I was doubting you, weren't you?" "No." The simplicity of his answer made her look at him. "I was informing my partner about a development." "That's all. Partner?" She gave a hollow laugh. "I'm not sure what we are anymore, Farhan. Investor and investee? Colleagues? Friends?" The rain had lightened to a gentle mist, collecting like diamonds in her hair. Farhan reached out, hesitated, then gently brushed a droplet from her cheek. "I've been asking myself the same question," he admitted. "When I returned to Pakistan, I was focused entirely on business. Then I met you at the wedding and something shifted. Even after discovering our professional connection, I couldn't reset that feeling." "We can't do this," Samira whispered, though she didn't move away. "There's too much at stake." "There is," he agreed. "Which is why I've requested to be removed as your direct liaison at Taurus." Samira stepped back, stunned. "You're abandoning the project? Now?" "I'm removing the conflict of interest," he clarified, "because I can't pretend anymore that what I feel for you is just professional admiration." Before she could respond, her phone buzzed urgently. Hina calling with another crisis. Reality crashed back. "I have a gala to save," she said, voice unsteady. "We'll discuss this later." "Samira," Farhan caught her hand before she could leave. "Whatever happens tonight doesn't define you or Kayal. You've already proven yourself 100 times over." Something in his unwavering faith steadied her. They returned to the command center where Samira made rapid-fire decisions with renewed clarity. As her team executed the revised plan, she and Farhan worked in perfect synchronicity, anticipating each other's thoughts and completing each other's strategies. By the time guests arrived, the ballroom had been transformed. What could have been a disaster became a triumph of innovation, the rain-themed decor and last-minute entertainment changes celebrated as intentionally unique touches, as the governor himself praised the event's originality. Samira caught Farhan's gaze across the room. In that moment of shared victory, the final walls between them began to crumble, revealing a truth neither could deny any longer. The final proposal. The Karachi office of Kayal Events overlooked the Arabian Sea, sunset painting the water in shades of amber and gold. 1 year after the fateful investment meeting, Samira stood at the window of her new headquarters, watching fishing boats return to harbor as staff prepared for the company's national launch celebration. Behind her, framed magazine covers chronicled Kayal's meteoric rise, Pakistan's event empire, the woman revolutionizing South Asian celebrations, and most recently, Kayal and Taurus, partnership perfected. The latter featured a professional photo of Samira and Farhan standing back to back, her creative vision and his business acumen portrayed as the perfect balance. The reality had been far messier than those glossy images suggested. Following the governor's gala, now legendary in the industry for its innovative rain miracle theme, everything had changed. Danielle's interference had been exposed through evidence Farhan had meticulously gathered, resulting in a public apology and prestige event's rapid decline. More significantly, Farhan had kept his word about stepping away as liaison, assigning a colleague named Tariq to oversee the Taurus investment. For 3 painful months, Samira and Farhan had maintained distance, professionally cordial when obligations brought them together, but never alone, never honest about the feelings that had developed between them. "The guests will arrive in an hour," Haina announced, entering with a tablet. "And Mr. Siddiqui just arrived from the airport." Samira nodded, smoothing her emerald gown, the same color she'd worn the night they met. "Is everything prepared for the announcement?" "Yes, though I still think you're taking a risk," Hina replied, concern evident in her voice. "The business is stable now. Why complicate things?" Before Samira could respond, there was a gentle knock. Farhan stood in the doorway, travel-worn but smiling. Despite their distance, her heart still responded to his presence like a compass finding north. "May I have a moment?" he asked. Once alone, they regarded each other with the careful politeness they'd maintained since the gala. "Congratulations," he offered. 3 offices in 12 months is remarkable by any standard." "Thank you. I couldn't have done it without Taurus's support." She paused. "And yours, especially in the beginning." Farhan moved to the window beside her, both gazing out rather than at each other. "I received your proposal yesterday. Tariq was surprised, but you weren't. I know you too well now," he admitted with a soft laugh. "You never choose the easy path." The proposal in question was Samira's boldest move yet, a structured buyback of Taurus's investment, gradually returning ownership fully to her while maintaining their strategic alliance. The terms were fair, even generous, but the intention was clear. She wanted independence again. "It's not about Taurus," she said quietly. "It's about us." Farhan turned to her then. "You're buying back your company so we can explore what this is," she gestured between them, "without ethical complications. I've spent my career fighting to be taken seriously. I can't risk people believing my success came from a personal relationship." "I understand that," he said, "but have you considered an alternative?" From his pocket, Farhan withdrew a document of his own and handed it to her. As Samira read, her eyes widened. "You're leaving Taurus?" "I'm starting my own investment firm focusing on female entrepreneurs," he explained. "Taurus is too conservative, too traditional in their approach. I want to build something different." He took a breath. "The thing is, I need a partner with creative vision and operational excellence. Someone who understands what these women are facing." Understanding dawned in Samira's eyes. "You're offering me a partnership." "A true one," he confirmed. "Equal stakes. Your expertise in building Kayal from nothing, combined with my capital and connections. Together we could transform how business is done in Pakistan." "And what about," she hesitated, "the personal complication?" Farhan stepped closer, close enough that she could see the flecks of amber in his eyes. "That's what I'm here to discuss before your announcement. If you buy back Kayal, or if we build this new venture together, one thing remains true. I am in love with you, Samira Hassan. I have been since that wedding night when you showed me how you create magic from nothing." The confession hung between them, both terrifying and exhilarating in its simplicity. "We could fail," she whispered. "The business, the relationship, everything." "We could," he acknowledged. "Or we could succeed beyond anything we've imagined. Either way, I'd rather try with you than wonder for the rest of my life." Below them, Guests began arriving for the launch party. Investors, clients, media. In minutes, Samira would need to go downstairs and announce her vision for Kayal's future. "I don't have an answer for you yet," she said honestly. "Either option requires courage I'm still finding." Farhan nodded, understanding as always. "Then let me make it easier. Tonight is about celebrating Kayal's success, your success. My offer stands regardless of your decision." As they prepared to join the celebration downstairs, Samira paused at the door. "The night we met, you said you came back to Pakistan for family, opportunity, and because it felt like time. What did you mean by that last part?" Farhan smiled, the same smile that had first caught her attention across a flower-filled garden. "Some places, some people feel like coming home. I didn't understand that until I met you." Later that evening, as champagne flowed and congratulations surrounded her, Samira took the stage to make her announcement. Looking across the sea of faces to where Farhan stood, she finally knew her answer. Not just about business, but about the heart she had protected for so long. The deal they would ultimately strike would be unlike any other in Pakistan's business world. Part investment strategy, part revolution, and part love story. What had begun as an unexpected encounter had transformed into a partnership stronger than either could have built alone. In the end, Samira realized that some risks were worth taking, some rules worth breaking, and some nights, like the one where she first met Farhan, changed not just deals, but destinies.